Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you as always for your tweets. Craig and Stevie with us here in the studio. Gab, how are you feeling about tonight? You nervous?
I am a little bit nervous, but you know what? It's one of those things where you tell yourself nervous because you don't want to take it for granted. Logic says we should win. We've got what, 21 of 22 starters available. We've already beaten them twice. They're really not that good. But then you don't want to look like a fool if they upset you. Oh. My main thing is I want to make sure Nick Sirianni and the players aren't underestimating them.
Oh, Eagles against the Giants, of course, tonight in the playoffs. Meanwhile, back to soccer. Is it hard to stay focused while playing in a game you know is very boring? Have you played in many boring games?
Well, a game's boring if you're 4-0 up.
No, not really, because that's not your thinking at the time.
Right.
You try to do your best at all time.
Okay.
So you're not thinking about it that way?
I think it maybe pre-season friendlies. I know it's slightly different.
Oh, they're horrible. They're awful. The worst games are the first couple because you play teams that are in the second. Like for example, we used to go to Sweden and Norway. We used to go all over Scandinavia and play like second division teams.
Right.
Or even first division teams.
So they're up for it.
And they're up for it, and we're just starting off. We've hardly kicked a ball, and you're in the middle of nowhere, and you're getting beat, and you're thinking, how are we going to win the title? We can't even beat this mob. I mean, you think you feel as though you're never going to be able to run again. Yeah. Because you can't catch anybody. People are running past you. You can't pass it straight. It's like, oh, I just wish the final was so good we get away from here.
Xhaka would have fallen asleep for sure at Anfield today.
Well, I mean, you could fall asleep in a bed of nails, can't you? but for the players on the field, it wasn't boring.
Right. You don't have that sense.
Well,
oh, this is boring.
Well, they can't score, and we can't score. Ref, can't we just stop the game now? Sort of thing. No.
No? No. Friendlies? What were you like?
Oh, they're awful.
Yeah,
awful.
Incredibly bored in friendlies.
Awful.
Yeah.
Pre-season's different.
The worst friendlies as well were internationals.
Oh yeah, you love
when
them.
When you got both teams.
Yes.
When the players they're not interested.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awful.
Gab, have you ever fallen asleep covering a game?
I have not fallen asleep actually at the stadium. I have seen colleagues fall asleep.
Xhaka his lot.
In fact, I remember this happening in the press box here in London at West Ham, which is, and this is at the Boleyn ground, so this is at the old ground, which is actually, it's a pretty noisy place, pretty noisy fans. And I don't know if this particular gentleman, who I won't name, I don't know if he'd had a drink before, or in the afternoon, but yeah, he was very obviously snoring. And eventually somebody woke him up because we didn't want to get in trouble with his boss. But I think there were enough people. I think this might have been just before camera phones were ubiquitous, but yeah, he would have been in serious trouble.
I fell asleep at a press conference once, waiting for the player to come.
Really?
Yeah, that was back in the
night out.
Yeah.
And who woke you up? The cameraman?
No, one of another journalist there woke me up, but it took a while.
You know when you see like the House of Commons in England,
yes, yeah,
and all these politicians,
they're all sleeping.
Half of them are.
What about when you sat on the bench? Has it ever been? I suppose you guys didn't spend too much time on a bench, but have you known players to have a little? Julian Faubert famously did it at Real Madrid when he was there.
Who? Fell asleep?
Yeah, fell asleep on the bench.
You're too busy. You're too busy when to carry on the bench.
Right.
Unless it's a cup final or something. But generally, when you're on the bench,
you're just messing around.
You're messing about, and I mean, you're watching a game, but you're not particularly. You just sat there.
Right.
And if something goes, like if somebody gets megged,
yeah,
then you're all like, let's see what about that.
Plus the fact, like, if somebody gets injured in the first 10 minutes, you're like, get up!
Yes.
Oh, no.
Get up! You're looking at the clock going, oh, God, I don't want to come on now.
Are you getting battered and you see the gaffer looking down the line and you're all sitting like this, leaning back so he doesn't see you.
What you brought on, was it 4-0, 5-0?
That was Blackburn, yeah.
Right.
3-0 after 20 minutes.
Brilliant.
And David Plate went like that, and Will went like that. Oh, there. Trying to hide.
I told you I made my debut at Forest.
Yeah.
At Nottingham Forest when we were 5-0 down. We got beat 7. The first thing I did when I came on, I had to go on the wall and face a Stuart Pearce free kick. And he was taking big run-ups in those days.
Right,
You know, with that angry look about him?
Yes.
And you thought, well, he's not going to swerve this one.
Yes.
He's going for power. So there's 5, 6 of us in the wall. What's a done percent?
Yeah, 10%, yeah, exactly.
I mean, 5-0, Bobby Campbell, he's no longer with us. Bobby, Craig, get changed, you're going on, son. I'm like, oh, cheers, Gav.
Right, nice. There you are.
That's a way to make a debut, innit?
Stevie, in the game against Chelsea, which of Chelsea's forwards you felt was the most dangerous? Ziyech and Mudryk seemed good despite not scoring.
Oh, Mudryk. If you talk about the time he was on the field to what he did,
yes,
no question, he was exciting.
And I imagine someone like that can just lift everything.
Absolutely.
Like within the team, the dressing room, obviously the crowd as well.
Get him the ball.
Right.
You know, and the fact he's up against James Milner. So the guy's known for being extra pacey. And you see what he does. First time he got the ball, he's positive and he goes after him. So you just go straight away, oi, get him the ball.
Right.
Absolutely, get him the ball.
Seems like many Chelsea players are slipping on the turf today, but none of the Liverpool players. Is that anything to do with home advantage? Does Anfield have an extra slippery element?
Well, here's one for you, by the way. So you played the era after me. So the pitches we played on were heavier.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, and you had longer studs as a result?
Right. And I noticed when I went back and played, like 2006, I couldn't believe how hard the ground was.
Right.
And it was the middle of summer. Just the way the fields are now.
Global warming, Stephen.
Yeah. So, I forgot what I was going to ask you there. I just forgot what we were talking about.
But in all fairness,
I just forgot what we were talking
in all
you lose your train of thought.
Are you lost again?
We're talking about slipping over Anfield advantage.
So because it's so hard, there was a lot of the players that on that day were sliding all over the place.
Okay.
Because it just came as such a shock to be on such a hard surface that any sort of slide, off you went.
Right.
And there wasn't a lot of time. I mean, the grass was like that. Whereas, as I said before, it was way thicker and softer.
Did you have problems keeping your footing at other pitches when compared to, say, Stamford Bridge?
No, I mean...
You were playing 2006, weren't you?
No.
No?
I finished in 2003 or 4.
So
you played at 2006. I'd like to have seen that.
So had the...
No, well, a lot of the pitches were...
Because you would see both. Yeah, you would see both sides of it.
Well, they're not as good as they are now, but they were better. Apart from Selhurst Park, where Wimbledon and Crystal Palace were playing as a ground share, and I remember playing 2 years in a row in FA Cup quarter-finals down there, and I honestly, kid you not, there was barely a blade of grass on the field.
Yeah.
But in going to Old Trafford, it wasn't bad. I would describe it as a hybrid. It was partly in between the 80s and where we are now. It was half decent.
You didn't fall over at one place more than another?
No.
It's the lounge afterwards. Is Lampard the easy scapegoat, Gab, for all the problems with Everton? Is there more of a systemic problem? They spelt it wrong. With the overall structure of the club, starting with the owner?
Wait, which owner are you talking about? Moshiri or the guy who sues you if you say he's the real owner?
I'm not getting involved, Gab.
Surely it's the directors of football at Everton that's the problem.
Oh.
Well, you can't...
Yeah,
I mean, you can look at Moshiri and blame him for
so.
this and that, but at the end of the day, he's put a lot of money in. So the problem is with the directors of
he
football...
He's put money in.
Well,
yeah.
Let's be honest.
He's put his money into the club. Yes,
whoever's money it is, they've spent a lot of money on players. And I'm sure Moshiri wasn't picking the players. Right. So the mistake has been on whoever the director of football's been because of the money they've spent on people like Iwobi, for example.
No, and they've been through 3 of them, is what I'm saying. So obviously there's an issue in terms of either bringing in directors of football can't work with managers, or managers can't work with directors of football, or making the wrong appointments. you know, buck stops with the people who make the decisions, and that is the owner. That is Bill Kenwright, who seems to hang around in perpetuity for 18 years simply because he loves the club. You know, by the way, 18 years in which, you know, the club's, you know, certainly for most of that time kind of gone into a vertical decline. I think it's really difficult. I know it's a boring answer to say lots of different people are to blame, but it's clearly dysfunctional in so many ways, and it's been like this for a very long time. And you know, and I feel for Everton, because when I was growing up, they were a legitimate big club. And you speak to fans who are new to the Premier League, or who become Premier League fans in the last 15, 20 years, and they have no idea of Everton's history. They have no idea what Everton were in the 1980s when they were challenging your team, Stevie. You know, they think of Everton as sort of, oh look, it's, you know, it's the Scouse version of Crystal Palace. Well, with all due respect to Crystal Palace, they're really not.
I think Lampard's just made a really bad decision, isn't it, in terms of his managerial career, going in there. I'm not for 1 minute suggesting he's the becoming of Klopp or Guardiola, not at all. But when you try to rebuild your stock, as he was, you've got to pick. It's a bit like David Moyes in a way. When he got a United job, he couldn't turn it down, and then he was jumping in everything. You know, Real Sociedad, Sunderland, which was a cesspit at the time. And these guys, it's almost like they can't help themselves. They want to get back in, they want to get back in, and that's understandable. But sometimes you've got to be careful. This has been a sinking ship for a long time. It's so toxic now, you've got to question how long the ownership can continue. But I suppose people that make a lot of money in business have got a cynical side, have got a tolerant side, and have got an egotistical side. They might just try and see this one out. But it's a bad scenario all round.
As far as being the scapegoat, though, unfortunately for Frank and any other manager, right now, the position they find themselves in, they need a quick
Yeah, you can't
fix.
sack all the players.
So changing the owner is going to take time. You can't get rid of all the players. But the only logical thing to do is hope that if you bring in a new manager, there will be such a kick, the new manager kick, that you can somehow pick up points to stay in the league. It's just the way it is.
It's a double-edged sword because it is, as I mentioned, toxic, and we've seen problems outside the stadium that have been beyond what protesting should be, to be honest with you. But as Stevie said, if they are of the mindset because of the atmosphere to sell the club, they're going to sell it for a damn sight less if they're in the Championship than they are if they're in the Premier League. And so, well, I would imagine, maybe not, I don't know, but I would think so. It's less value. It's got less value in the Championship. So you need to bring somebody in to try and keep them up, because it doesn't look as if Lampard can, and that's just more short-term plasters over the band-aid over the cut. But what do you do? Do you sink down to the Championship?
We got to move on. You know what you do? Hold on. You know what you do? Bring in Don. Because Don thinks if they go down, they can just come straight back up.
Don. What do you think has been the key factor, Stephen, in Newcastle's defence keeping so many clean sheets and being resolute?
Do you know what? If you watch Newcastle, they do something that not a lot of teams in the Premier League do. If they're under pressure, they kick it.
Right.
I mean, obviously, when teams are going at them, they defend well. But I don't remember, since the start of the season, Newcastle putting themselves under pressure by trying to overplay the ball out from the back. I just don't remember it. And I think actually the other team that does it well, Arsenal. If you watch Arsenal's defence, they will kick it. They're not scared to kick it. So.
But they've got 4 solid defenders in there.
And Pope, what a great save from Pope today was superb.
You know, Botman's a very good centre-half. So Shah's a good player. Trippier's a 7 or 8 out of 10 every week. And as you said, that save, Pope only really had one thing to do today, and it was, I actually think he's England's best goalkeeper, but obviously Pickford's the #1. But yeah, that's a solid back line.
Gab, what is ailing last season's top scorers, Salah and Son? How can they both struggle so much with form that they can't buy a goal for their teams anymore? Or is it just a function of how Liverpool and Spurs are playing?
I mean, it's obviously primarily going to be a function of that. I think it's interesting because, you know, Salah didn't go to the World Cup, right? So you figure he should be rested, and it's almost Son did go to the World Cup, didn't stick around there that long. But what I find really interesting is the pieces around Son are the same as last season. The pieces around Salah have changed substantially. You know, Liverpool's front three, obviously, not just the injuries, but Darwin Nunez coming in and whatnot, and now Cody. So there's obviously different reasons, I think, at play there. I don't have an easy answer, and you know what? I'll tell you what. If Conte and Klopp don't have the answer, I'm not going to have one here. But it is an odd one. I think Son especially has really been far below his level the last 2-3 months.
I mean, I think some people just automatically think that because somebody's had a great year or a couple of years, that the next one's going to be the same.
Right. I suppose so, because Salah has been so consistent since that move to Liverpool that he's kind of set that bar high and that expectation at that level.
Yep. Well, I'll throw it in there as well. I'm not suggesting it's the reason, but I'll throw it in. When Mane left, just before he left, he did get his new deal, his big money. I don't know, maybe subconsciously I don't think so, but I mean, it's not easy unless you're Messi and Ronaldo over the years to post those kind of seasons every year.
For Gab, start, bench, drop, Vlahovic, Tammy Abraham or Osimhen?
No, there's no question. You start Osimhen. Of the other two, I mean, in terms of all-around package, I would take Vlahovic, but you know, based on recent form and having watched Tammy's had a very poor first half of the season, but he's really picked it up in the last couple of games. Great partnership with Dybala in the last two outings. I might bench Tammy and drop Vlahovic for now.
Final question. A lot of people have been expressing this sort of view, Gab. Does the Gab and Jules show need to be renamed the Gab or Jules show, as one or another is always missing? There's a lot of holidays that go on between you two, Gab.
So, a couple of things here, okay? Jules and I are working journalists. We travel, we report on stories.
Jules is at the NBA. What was he doing at the NBA?
He was hanging out with Aurélien Tchouameni. He was with Tchouameni. He was reporting on Real Madrid and on France.
Yeah, exactly. Tchouameni had to apologise. Jules should apologise as well for not listening to the Gab and Jules podcast live with Don.
I think Gab should be taken off. I think he should be taken off for a bit and sat in the naughty chair.
Oh, so he should be taken away from the big chair
just
duties.
Purely for taking his family to the Antarctic. On that alone, Gab, what are you thinking about?
Am I not entitled to a holiday after the World Cup?
Yes, but not. Why did you go? You went to Siberia.
No, not Siberia. Antarctica. It's the opposite end of the globe.
Yeah, beautiful. Would you like to go to Antarctica, Stevie?
No, I'm good, thanks.
I'd like to see you get lost there.
What?
Well, don't phone me if you go there. Don't phone me if you go there. I'm not coming.
I just follow the North Star.
There you go. Beautiful high-vis jacket. Be good, wouldn't it? In the snow.
Well, what's going to attack him over
polar
there?
bears can see me.
In Avon, in the woods, he's going to get a bow and arrow. He's got to avoid that. High-vis.
Yeah.
In Avon.
Yeah.
What's the
polar bears?
Polar bears.
Polar bears.
Oh, they don't like high-vis jackets?
No,
there's no polar bears in Antarctica.
Oh, so
and there's no woods either.
Which animal should Stevie be concerned of then if he gets lost?
What's liable to eat me?
I would be, no, Stevie. I'd be concerned by penguins, whose droppings, incidentally, smell extremely foul.
Well, you're obsessed about penguin droppings, Gab. You get going on. But
I fancy my chances against a penguin.
What are they going to do to you?
What's he going to do?
There's a whole colony of penguins. There's hundreds of them. It's not just you against one penguin. It's like the birds, Hitchcock. You've seen that, right?
Are they going to gang up with it?
Come on!
Hey, lads.
Follow the jacket.
It's a lot.
Right, lads. Where are we going on holiday, Dad? We're going to smell penguin poop in Antarctica. What's it?
By the way, is there any sort of poop doesn't smell foul?
That's today's question. We'll leave you with that. Good luck to the Eagles tonight, Gab. We'll be back tomorrow to reflect on Arsenal against the United, Real Madrid, Barcelona in action as well. Be sure to join us.